All right. Tough loss yesterday on the road against a good team. Just simply can't make the mistakes that we made in all three phases and expect to win a game like that. There are no moral victories. I mean, we do look at it like if we clean those things up, we got it. It's in the fourth quarter. It's a one-score game in spite of those mistakes. So I don't want to ignore that. It's not a moral victory in any sense of the word, but I believe we have a good team and we just got to clean up those mistakes. We're 3-2. We're 3-2. We're not where we want to be, but we're still in a good position to do what we want to do this year. But right now, all that matters is 1-0. 1-0. Get ready to play the Cincinnati Bengals and have our best game of the year this week. After watching the tape, just a few summary comments for you guys. First of all, you know how we roll around here. We win and lose as a team. There's no finger pointing, not to individuals, not to a unit. You know how we roll as far as the grades, individual grades of players. Those aren't for public discussion. Part of what's great about this game is you guys get to give us grades, and we embrace that. Coaches and players. That's part of the greatness of this game is the fan interaction, the media interaction, and the respect that the media has and has earned in this realm. So we live with that. But I also understand, even though I'm not going to give out grades, I got to cooperate, right? Want to cooperate, give you a few general thoughts after watching the film. So here's a few general thoughts after watching the tape closely several times. Defensively, thought we did an outstanding job against the number one rushing team in the NFL of stopping the run all day. Held them to 3.8 yards and just felt like we played really good stopping the run. We had a game plan. I thought it was designed well, it was played well. And for 60 minutes, I thought that was really good. Obviously, in the first half, I thought the Browns' offense was extremely efficient and hot. We stopped the run, but they had too many chunk plays, and they were really good on third down. And they had 4 long scoring drives, right? 4 long scoring drives in the first half that hurt us. When we got in at halftime, that was one of the reasons we were so optimistic about the second half. Didn't think that they could sustain that. They made a few great plays, individual great plays and catches, and that we thought would start to fall our way. But defense played lights out in the second half, held them to about 100 yards, got 2 turnovers, and gave us a chance, to get back in it. Offensively, ran the ball. Our run efficiency score was very high, just like that was my gut reaction after the game. Didn't get a ton of runs called because we were in a little bit of catch-up mode, and then 2-minute mode at the end. That's always going to be the case. I actually had more runs called in the second half than in the first half. Got the run game going a little bit in the second half. But then we got, kind of 2-minute mode in the fourth quarter. So felt good about progress there. There were a couple things we were specifically trying to get done in the run game, and we showed some progress there. We only had 3 first-half possessions and scored on 2 of them. I thought in the first half the offense played good. Not great, but good. We scored on 2 of the 3 possessions. But here's one thing we say, hey, whether it's a low-scoring game or a high-scoring game, if we're playing in a high-scoring game, then we got to score in every one. When we had a 3-and-out, late in the first half, we got to convert on that 3rd and 2, and we didn't do it. So if we're playing a hot offense, then offensively we got to be able to match that, and we didn't do that. In the second half, obviously we made some costly mistakes. And when I say that, it's players, coaches, it's all of us. Too many to overcome to beat a good team. On special teams, obviously had the explosive return with Isaiah, which is huge. Really kind of gave us a lift to get back in the game. And then had the one punt that we had a fair catch inside the 5, which is something that we don't do. So those are a few general assessments as far as injuries. Autry had the ankle. Blackmon had a groin. They finished the game. We'll monitor their status. Mo Alley Cox had a knee come up a little bit. We'll continue to monitor his status. Justin Houston aggravated a hip. We'll continue to monitor his status. And then Darius and Castonzo, it's going to be too early to tell for next week, but think they're making progress, and we'll continue to monitor them. All right, I'll open it up.
All right, Jim Aiello.
Hey, Frank. Just the question was, has there been any consideration to sitting Phillip and going to Jacoby?
No, no consideration for that. Phillip is our quarterback.
All right, Mike Wells.
Frank, you talked about the passing game a little bit and stuff, but you were very adamant yesterday in saying Phillip was not any words of yours. But after watching the film, do you still feel that same way, or do you feel like there were some throws he could have made or done better during the game yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, my statement yesterday, and this is not indicative of how I think Phillip played, but I'll just admit to you that the statement I made yesterday was probably dramatic and overdone. So my apologies for that statement yesterday. Not the best statement. What you guys know how I feel about quarterback play. Quarterback gets too much credit, too much blame. That doesn't mean the quarterback doesn't have good games. Some games aren't better than others. Some games aren't worse than others. So that's for each of us to weigh as we see it. So we weigh it internally. We look at all the plays, the ones that he made. He did make a number of good plays in the game. There's obviously he made some mistakes. We all made mistakes, coaches and players, in every phase. The quarterback is just going to always get more blame and more credit than he deserves. So, but he's still held accountable internally for everything that he does, just like every other player is. The quarterback's no different than anybody else.
I want to ask you a follow-up question about your running game, Frank. And this is no knock on Jonathan, Jordan, or Naheem, but how much are you guys missing with not having Marlon? And it seemed like Marlon just kind of had the instincts to, when he saw a crease, he went and he took it and just ran with it. So how much are you guys missing as far as your running game goes with that?
I have a ton of respect for Marlon. Marlon's a great player. He's a great runner, really in a groove. So you miss Marlon, but I honestly am not thinking about that during the game. As much as I love and appreciate how good of a player Marlon is, I thought yesterday was Jonathan's best game. I felt like he really ran the ball well. I thought he saw it well. I wish we could have had more opportunities to get the run game going. I really think, Jonathan was seeing it well.
Charlie Clifford.
Coach, I know last year some of the chatter in Phillip was, look, these interceptions, a lot of them are 50-50 balls down the field. When you evaluate the mistakes, the fact that this year they haven't looked like 50-50 balls, do you weight those differently?
Yeah, every play gets weighted for what it is, and you're exactly right. Obviously the interception that he threw to start the second half, he told you, it was a bad play. And you're going to have those. You're going to have those. So I told you I made a bad call. When other players, that's the way our players are, and coaches, we take responsibility for the bad plays that we have. You throw enough balls in this league. He's had what did I see as, one of 5 players in the history of the NFL to have however many completions that he passed this week. You're going to throw some, and that was one I'm sure he'd like to have back.
Mike Chappell.
Frank, one thing you guys really pointed for during the offseason were the explosive plays, both run and pass. Have you seen a problem getting T.Y. more involved? He's been really sort of quiet by T.Y. stage. Is there an issue there, or is it just hasn't been there? I know you've gotten some penalties, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't feel the same when we get the penalties, but I have to remind myself that those are real yards, and the way we evaluate on a Tuesday, when we kind of put all of our numbers up and we put up that hidden yardage number, when we put up that hidden yardage number, that's reflected in there, but it doesn't quite have the same oomph, but it actually to us does have some oomph. So we had 10 targets to TY. We're always looking for ways to get him involved. He's our number one guy. I thought he played well yesterday. We have to continue to work to get him involved, and not just have because he's really nifty and instinctive. like the first play of the game. He just has a good way of finding that soft spot in the zone and getting a sharp completion. But, T.Y. Hilton is still the speed guy that we still want to get him in chunk plays down the field. So we have to continue to work on that.
Do you sense a frustration with him?
I haven't sensed him from him personally. I'm sure, he's a very competitive guy. But what I appreciate about T.Y., he's also a great team player. So if he's feeling that frustration, he's done a good job of, putting the team first and not showing it to us.
Thanks, Frank.
Stephen Holder.
Hey, Frank, I know you guys pride yourselves in always like staying a step ahead of the defense, but I'm wondering, how much, if at all, have the injuries hampered your ability to, to just be more creative in play calling and just do some, you spent all off season thinking about those things. How much has that hampered you? And if it has, how do you, sort of ease that problem?
I feel very confident in the players that we have, really confident. So yeah, we have not, and everyone's noted it, we've done some good things on offense in 5 games, but we have not come close to really hitting our rhythm like we all know that we can hit our rhythm as a group offensively. I have a lot of confidence in our coaches and our players that we're getting there, and we've shown flashes of it at times. It needs to be more consistent, and we'll get there. And we got to get there, Stephen, with whatever players we have. There's a lot of football to play, so I'm sure the injuries will continue to come and go. Hopefully we can stay healthy, but as coaches and as players, it truly is next man up, and we need to get it. We need to find that rhythm. We need to find that rhythm with whoever is in there.
George Bremer.
Coach, I think you got 8 touchdowns in 5 weeks offensively. 4 of those have come on the opening drive. Is there anything that you can pinpoint that's working early in games that you're not able to continue later on?
No, I mean, I've obviously looked at every one of those drives closely and evaluated them. They have been very successful. Even the one game that we didn't score, we drove the ball all the way down the field and then turned it over, in the red zone. So in our opening drives, we've been very successful. Typically, right, I mean, if there's some things that you've have schemed up or some things that you thought you could do, you want to get a fast start. So you try to get those in early to get momentum. You want to get out in the lead. So we've been very efficient on those drives and very good. I would say this, we've stayed out of third down a lot of those drives. It's been a lot of first down, second down, first down, second down, getting 12, 15, 18-yard plays. The only stat that really matters, right, as we all know, is wins and losses. But, it's not that we don't look at all of them. And it's needless to say, we need to get better at third down. So if we're saying what's the difference of the first drive? Why can't we sustain that? I think the key area is 2 things. One, continue to get more chunk plays. And then secondly, get better on third down than what we're doing right now.
All right, we'll do 3 more. Bob Kravitz.
Frank, in this continuing spirit of second guessing, what were you told or what did you see on the second challenge?
Yeah, on the Odell Beckham catch.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it wasn't clear, Bob. It was, and then they came up to the ball and, and I called upstairs real quick and do you have a view of it? And they hadn't shown it yet, but they hadn't shown it yet. So we have basically a 3-second discussion on it. We have a 3-second discussion. Sometimes you figure they're hurrying because their bench had a good view of it. And sometimes you just take that chance.
Right.
So you haven't got a clear view of it. And then you just see the replay and it's just a stroke of luck for them that the ball comes down on his arm and doesn't hit the ground. And even at that, so it's a chance that you took and you win some and lose some of those. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us.
Thanks.
All right, Joel Erickson.
You've already mentioned some of the stuff with the offense, but just what's been the issues in the red zone, do you think?
Yeah, the red zone, Nick and I have talked a lot about this because, he and I together have had a lot of success over the years in third down and the red zone. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So we got to coach it better. We got to play it better. There's some contextual or situational things built in there, but that's not hardly all of it. We just have to get better as an offense in those two areas. And I'm confident we will. I'm really confident we will. So that's really all I can say on it, Joel, is that it hasn't been good enough. Thankfully, it's played well enough that those field goals have been enough in 3 of our 5 games. We all know that field goals aren't going to be enough to win some of the games that we're going to need to win down the road to go where we want to go. So the good news is we're 3-2, and we have a good history of players and coaches who have done well in this area, and we'll figure it out.
All right, last one, Greg Doyle.
Hey, Matt, I'd like to ask 2 questions. I want to do a follow-up first. Kind of weird, but I want to follow up Brimmer's question. Frank, on the first drive of these games, how scripted is that first drive? And if it is scripted, is there any thought to scripting more than those?
Yeah, it is scripted, and yes, we do try to script more than that. I try to script the second half drive, and really try to put several play sequences together. And so, like, I'll typically put a 20 play, really supposed to be a first 15. To your point, Greg, we normally script the first 15, but because that's been so successful, I've been trying to extend that. So I've been extending that to 20. So the first script is 20 plays long, and then boom, boom, boom. Then we shuffle the deck, and then we get together, and then we put together a second script of about 12 to 15 plays. That first script seems to be working pretty well, so we just got to continue to build on that.
Okay, my real question, not that was a fake one, but there are no good interceptions. I know that, but some seem worse than others. And I'm not even play quarterback or coach, any of that stuff. But the ones against Jacksonville and the ones yesterday seem really, really bad. You looked at Phil's tape with the Chargers. Are these the picks he was throwing there, or is this different? I know that's a tough question. I'm so sorry.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't want, I'm trying to give you a fair answer, without the pat answer of when you throw as many passes as he has thrown in his 17-year career, anybody who's thrown as many passes as he's thrown, you're going to have an interception that look like that pick six. It's just going to happen to you. So, has he thrown those before? Yes. But this is also the same guy who's in the same breath of sentence as Breeze, Manning, Brady, with touchdown passes and completions and all those other good things. So, but understandable. We're all held accountable, and, coaches and players to the mistakes that we make. And, the quarterback's mistakes are just on display sometimes for the world to see. And sometimes it's not always a quarterback, but Philip will tell you on that particular one that was him. And just like the call on the safety was my call. So my trust at the end of the day is who he is this guy is a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I have the utmost confidence and belief in him. Our team has the utmost confidence and belief in him. And you're going to live, you got to live with some mistakes. And the good is going to far outweigh the one or two bad things that happen. And we're a good enough team. We got to be a good enough team to overcome the one or two bad moments that we all have. We got to overcome a bad coaching moment. If I make a bad call, if the defense makes a mental error on a play and they score a touchdown, we got to overcome it as an offense. If the special teams makes a mistake, a costly mistake that results in a score, then as a team, we have to overcome it. So it's a fair question. I would also say it really happens at other places, maybe just not quite as public display.